talk into the microphone as much as possible because I've noticed that our videos, when we go to review it, it's very hard to hear. So if I remind you to speak into the microphone, don't be offended. Okay, so our first order of business tonight is a decision. The Catherine Tarlow Sears at 360 Dune Road. Jim, was this yours?
Yes.
Okay, well, the board has a written decision to grant this variance. So I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and approve this variance as written.
Second.
Approve the decision rather as written. All in favor? Jimmy seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Look at Dan.
Thank you.
Also, I should mention that one of our members is not here tonight. If for any reason anyone wants to hold it over for that, wait for a full board, that is your prerogative. Just let us know. Mr. Hume, you have a few requests for extensions tonight, correct?
Only two. Only two.
A few, a couple, okay.
This microphone?
Is that, yeah, I think we have to.
Okay. So,
What's that mic?
well, first one is, 350.
350 Dune, for the applicant, James N. Hume, 350 Dune Road, Hampton Beach. 350 Dune Road, you approved a variance last November on that matter, and we're still not quite through the permits. The last step is a fill permit from the planning board, which we presented last week. So we should be in good shape, but I would like to extend it at least 6 months if we could.
Okay,
So that we can complete all that work and get our permit.
okay. Thank you, Jim. I'm gonna make a motion. We go ahead and grant that extension for 6 months on 350 Dune Road. I have a second.
Second.
Second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And the second one is at 165
Mhm.
Dune Road. That decision actually goes back to 2002. You've given us one extension, and my client has asked me to come and see if I can get another year. on that.
What's the reasoning on that?
Just selection of contractor, internal, and that kind of stuff, so.
And we approved it when?
2000 and July 2022.
2022.
Yeah. I made this request in June of 2024. but
Right.
We weren't sure whether it had gotten handled or not, so I thought, Megan thought it best just to put it on tonight and.
Great.
we can-
Okay, Jim. Thanks. I'm gonna make a motion. We go ahead and grant that extension. You
Second.
looking for another year on
Another
that,
year,
Jim?
yeah.
Okay, we'll grant that for another year.
Which at this point will actually be only until July of next year, so. Assuming you have to grant it from.
From when it was
The date of
originally done.
expiration.
Sure,
Okay.
right. Okay, second by Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Good evening.
thanks, Jim. Have a good night. Okay, we're gonna be backtracking a little bit because last month we wanted to close out a lot because of a little glitch in our advertising. So the first holdover tonight is the Michael H. Berner Revocable Trust at 14 Monty Bog Lane. The applicant has withdrawn that application. They asked that we withdraw it without prejudice. So I'm going to make a motion that we honor that request and withdraw that application without prejudice for all purposes. Second by
Second.
Jim. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. So now we get into the Hamptons Landmark at 97 Hazelwood Avenue. Applicant seeks variances from 197-29 1A for a proposed increase in gross floor area within the required front yard and represented prohibited increase in the degree of nonconformity of an existing commercial building with a substandard front yard setback.
Good evening, members of the board. Heather Wright for the applicant. 48H Main Street, West Hampton Beach. We were here last month and I presented the application for the board, so I don't have anything further to add unless the board has questions. I know that you needed to keep the public hearing open in case there was some public comment.
Correct. And also the planning board has taken as lead agency for the purpose of the seeker on this. Is that correct?
Yes. And it may be that they just determined that the prior secret review was sufficient and there's been no changes, but
I think that's.
They did already do that?
Already.
okay,
Okay.
so I don't see any reason.
to that.
keep it open unless, somebody wants to be heard on it.
Right, well, there's another reason we're here. Is there anybody that wants to be heard on this application for any reason? 97 Hazelwood Avenue? So, I think, Heather, I think we're good to go on that. Board members, we're all okay on this? Questions? No? Okay, then I'm gonna make a motion that we go ahead and close the hearing for a decision at the November meeting.
Second.
Second by John, all in favor?
Right.
Aye. These eyes. Okay. The next one was the Dominic Reese, 60 Dune Road. Applicant seeks variance from 197-8D for a two-story addition with proposed side yard setback of 15.6 feet, where minimum required is 20 feet, and with the resulting combined side yard of 30.6 feet, where the minimum required is 50 feet.
Nicholas Beer Architect, 120 Mill Road, Hampton Beach, for the applicant, Dominic Reese. It's our last hearing, I gave testimony of the reason why we needed this little addition on the side of the house for the elevator, which would be a three-stop elevator. Mr. Hammond asked me to update and give you guys a site plan, which showed what our lot coverage was, both existing and proposed. So just to reiterate that, you looked at the drawing, we have an existing lot coverage right now, which is upland area because we have wetlands on the north side of the house, 17.35%. The proposed lot coverage is 18.2%, so well under our 20% lot coverage. I think that was the only thing you had asked me to do.
We had kept this hearing open. Does anybody have any comment on this, this hearing on 60 Dune Road? Nothing. Okay. So, board members, any other additional comments, questions? Okay, so, Nick, this had been presented. We had to keep this open for this purpose, but since there is no further input, the board is able to grant a decision on this for you tonight. I know now. I'm not kidding about this.
Okay.
Not April Fools. We're really going to do this, so.
Thank you.
I know.
Close it first.
So first, what I would like to do is close the hearing.
Second.
Second by Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we do have a written decision on this one, granting the variance. So what I'd like to do is make a motion that we go ahead and accept this decision as written.
Second.
Second by Joe. Gentlemen,
Aye.
all in favor?
Thank you.
Okay. That might be the first time we've ever done that, huh?
I think so.
But that was unique circumstances where that application was complete last month.
What's next?
Okay, this next one yours too, Dick? Is
Yeah.
that it? Michael Levy, 205 Dune Road, the applicant seeks a variance from 197-29-1A for a proposed one-story addition partially located within a required rear yard, representing a prohibited increase in the degree of nonconformity of existing dwelling with nonconforming rear yard setback.
Was Beer Architect, 120 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach, for the applicant, the Levy's, 205 Dune Road. At the last hearing, the board asked me for some clarifications, a resubmission of a site plan so we can show what our setbacks were for the additions on the north side of the existing structure. And I believe those backs from the house or for the addition to the crest of the building is 54.2 feet, as shown in my site plan. And I think 59.7 feet to the portion of the proposed deck that's on that side of the house, same addition. Again, to reiterate, this is an addition that's less than 20% of the total footprint of the house. It's a one-story house. It's going to remain a one-story house. And then you also asked me for some clarity with reference to the square footage of the area of the deck that we were proposing on the south side of the house. And I believe our site plan shows that square footage to be 76 square feet, which is just that fill-in area on that side of the house, bringing the total deck square footage to from 990 square feet to 1,666 square feet, which represents a 9.2% increase in that deck. And if the board grants that variance for that deck, that's what it would be. Pretty much the same setbacks on that side. You know, we're not going out any further to the east. We were just lining up the deck and straightening it out in that obscure corner. And I don't know why they built it that way years ago. But that would allow us to just give us a little more leeway if the board grants this and allows us to do that, endless pool that we're looking to do, that 10 by 20 endless pool. So that's what the board had asked me to resubmit last hearing, and we did that. You have those drawings.
You're adding 76 square feet.
To that deck, yes. We're not adding it yet.
What's that?
We're not adding it yet. We're asking to, if we
You're
can
asking
add.
to add it, because you just want to square it off.
Just want to square that off. Right?
Okay. When you can literally put that pool in without squaring the deck off,
We certainly can. No doubt about it.
right? Because you're gonna wind up, you're gonna redo that deck, am I
Oh,
correct?
we have to redo the deck, yeah.
The deck needs to be
Yeah, right,
rebuilt.
right now that whole deck is all rotted out. and
Right.
It needs,
You're
it
gonna
would need
redo the
repair
whole
no matter
deck.
what.
And when you redo the whole deck, you just want to square off that one corner.
That is the intention, to square up that one point.
Okay. Guys have any questions for Nick?
Yeah, I do. The notices seem to be two different notices I'm looking at here. You guys see, the latest notice that we got tonight compared to the notice that was, latest
older-
notice?
Last one?
I don't see
Yeah.
the pool on
you
the,
got?
latest notice.
The agenda is not what was advertised, it was advertised because it was holdovers, that was a cut and paste job from the previous agenda. The deck and pool were advertised,
Okay,
it's not reflected on tonight's agenda.
okay. Yeah. Just those.
The bottom line.
Oh, that's the.
Okay.
It was left off of last month's meeting.
Right.
We had to re-advertise anyway, so it was included for this one.
We still have a pool to contend with, within the setback from the crest of the dome.
Correct.
Now, previously, we had approved, I believe, a 38-foot setback from the crest of the dome. For the, to move the house back and the
The
deck and with-
previous architect and the,
Yeah,
the large house that they could
Right,
afford, right?
right.
Yes, yes.
So now we're going to move the house where it is.
Hmm.
Raise the house,
Raise the house 30
go up the
inches,
deck,
square up the deck and
and then,
square up the front of the house.
right, and then add a pool,
And
right?
Right.
I think the adding the pool is a sticking point here because of, now you're asking for one more thing within that setback.
But-
And it's substantial.
But we're looking to maintain the location of the house and not moving forward with a 3,800 square foot house or 4,000 square foot house that did require this board to give, quite a few variances,
Yeah.
previously. So, that's what we're looking to maintain a one-story cottage on this house with a 400 square foot addition and the addition of a small pool, which basically is, a glorified hot tub in this case.
Yeah.
By 20,
10 by 20, 10 by 20.
what is the pool like? I mean, what's the construction on the pool?
Well, basically the pool is going to be dropped in. It's what we call an endless pool because it's a current. So you swim against the current to get your exercise in. And that's basically what that pool is. I mean, it has a hot tub aspect to it. Joe knows more about those pools than I do. I've only done a couple. I've done them indoors. I have never done one on a deck outside, but it basically is a glorified hot tub that gets, cast in, gets put in place. It's not built. It's not built, from scratch. It comes
It
on a
comes
crane. Comes on a
prefab
crane. They
and you
drop it
drop
over.
it in.
They drop it into the
Okay.
hole, and that's what that pool is. So.
Does it require excavation?
It will require footings and a foundation underneath it, but, the excavation will also be to replace that deck. Even if we were to replace that deck in likeness and kind, we still have to excavate right there. The problem with that deck and the reason why it rotted is that the sand is right up to the bottom of that deck, from years of it, the wind accruing in that dune. So, that's the reality of that. So, again, my clients are looking to maintain their house and just, add a little bit to it. And as I testified before, we've gotten variances with pools within the setbacks, within that 75-foot setback from the crest of Dune. And I gave you, addresses of 185 Dune Road and 317 Dune Road, which are both my applications. I'm sure there were others that, are on Dune Road that I don't know, but those are mine. And again, those were built, decks and pools were built within 20 feet or within 30 feet of the existing setbacks. And so we're not asking any more than what's already, the board has already.
They
granted.
they were also in the decks themselves.
They were also in the decks themselves.
Within the decks.
Within the
Deck is
decks
there, you're
themselves,
gonna
right. We
drop
didn't
it
add
in the
anything, right.
deck.
We didn't add anything to the deck.
Mhm.
But to your point, Mr. Chairman, if we can put that pool in there without squaring off that deck.
Yeah.
If that's a condition of.
It's like an aesthetic thing, I say.
Yeah, basically it's an aesthetic thing. I can certainly, move the pool 3 feet to the west and still maintain a little walkway around that. And I'm sure
Yeah,
they'd still be
why,
very
you know,
happy.
you're redoing the whole deck then anyway, so I'm sure you can.
I just wanted to clarify. We want to make it too.
Right, you're so close to me.
That's why I sit here.
All right.
Thank you.
Um, Any other questions for Nick right now, guys?
No.
Anyone out there have any input on this application? No, okay. So we have everything we need. You're all set, Nick? Nothing else you want to add?
Anything else I want to add, unless you have any more questions?
I don't have any more questions for you right now, so that's okay. I'm gonna make a motion. We go ahead and close this hearing for a decision. Second by, John. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
One more.
Good. All righty, number 6. This is yours too, Nick? All right, Joseph and Bridget Shanley, 139 Point Road applicant seeks a variance from 19710C1 for a single-family dwelling reconstruction with a proposed building area coverage of 29.3% of the lot area, where the minimum required is 20% from 19710D for a proposed front yard setback of 14.8. Where the required is 20 feet, and for 19734, for proposed habitable floor area of 29.3% of the lot area, where maximum permitted is 20%, and for 19735, for proposed accessory deck setbacks of 12.7 and 15.6 feet, where the minimum required is 20 feet.
Nicholas Vero, architect, 120 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach, for the applicant, the Shanleys. Just to clarify what Mr. Pesca asked for last hearing, he was looking for an updated survey that showed compliance to a planning board decision that was done quite a few years ago, and hopefully Mr. Pesca has reviewed that and found that to be in order. I know that Mr. Hammond did. No, shaking his head. I don't see anything. That's
No, the condition of the subdivision was to remove the deck on the west side, so the deck is still there. There's also a hot tub in that area, so like, that deck should have been removed to
So-
complete that that lot line.
so the deck has not been removed from that area?
On the survey, they,
Well, it's on his older, because that was the survey that they used back in the time. You go to my site plan shows that that deck has been removed. So my site plan shows current conditions.
Yeah, but that's not what was asked. We need a
You need
surveyor
the survey to show that that,
show
okay,
current condition.
okay,
2022 survey.
okay. And that's the survey that, the owners and someone else gave to me, so, that's the only current survey that I have, because I had an older survey that showed that lot line still had not been done, but this is the survey showing that lot line had been done, so as a condition of that approval, we have to show that on, so I have to get David Fox out there to update that survey, to make it a 2024 survey, okay,
And that side deck shouldn't be on it.
right. Well, we know that, it's not there, so if he goes out to do, it will be gone, and it is gone, so, thank you, okay. All right, so I will get David Fox to get that survey done for me.
Yeah, I don't think this board can act until lot line modification it's completed.
Okay. So there is no reason for us to move forward, and we gave testimony at the last hearing. I'll come back for the next hearing and ask this board to adjourn the hearing until such time that Mr. Fox has updated our survey showing compliance to the planning board decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're saying that deck is gone now?
Yeah, it's gone.
We have to have that,
It's
okay.
Yeah, it's definitely gone. It was removed a while ago. I think as a condition, but the owners just never got them back here. David Fox to do the survey. My bad. I didn't know that. My site plan shows there's no deck there, so.
Nick, to save some time in the, in the future,
Mhm.
future hearings. Do you want to talk about the size of the house, and possibly
Yeah.
reducing the size of the house?
I'll address that at our next hearing.
Okay.
Again, I'm just, I have my testimony to, explain to you why the size of the house and why the house is in its location, so.
Okay, all right.
But until I have that survey done, because if David doesn't have it done for, for the next, a week before the next hearing or so, then,
Right, okay,
it's moot at this point. I don't want to waste anybody's time here, so.
okay.
We can just ask for an adjournment if that's okay. I think would be the way to go.
Yeah, the only thing I would think is that, do we have anybody out in the audience that's here about this hearing that has a comment? I just don't want to waste anybody's time. Patty?
I don't need to step up. I just wanted a quick recap of
Uh-huh,
what's proposed. I wasn't at the meeting last month because they didn't know anything about it.
okay.
I'm out of town next month, so I'd like to know what the proposed project is.
So probably what I would suggest is to talk to Nick and find out what they propose on it.
Okay.
Okay? If he has a survey, we'll go forward next month. If you have any comments or questions at that point, you could just submit it to us in writing and that'll be part of our record. How would that be?
Patty, is that okay?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
unless you want to do a quick 2-minute thing now, that's what's proposed. I don't know if anybody else here before that.
Okay, so I'll give you a recap. We're proposing to build, take down the existing house that's there, use the existing pile foundation that's there in its location. As you know, you've been to the site. We got approval from DEC and the health department to install a new IA system in the rear of their house because basically that system failed so bad that, the kids were walking on mud, and I just don't want to describe it any further than that system has been installed with the approval of DEC and the health department. So we look to leave the house in its location, use the pile foundation that's there. House exists, it's 14.8 feet off the front of the front yard setback. We're not increasing the footprint of the building. We're adding a second story. So I think, and Joe just asked me about, the size of the house. So based on the formula for Pond Point, we're allowed 20% of the lot area for the size of the house, which gets us about 1,200 square feet. We're asking for a house at about 1,789, I believe is my square footage, somewhere around there, which is why that number seems so great. I think it's 29% of the lot area, but it's a two-story house, so it's footprint on footprint. We're not increasing the footprint. We're not increasing the decks. We're not increasing the side yard setbacks. They do exist, okay? So I think the question right now that Joe had was, can we do anything about the size of the house? So we're basically looking to do footprint on footprint with a second floor. We have to lower the piles, okay, because right now they exist probably 3 or 4 feet higher than what they're supposed to be. Otherwise, I'd have a height variance application or request. So we meet our height limitations based on the fact that we're lowering the pile foundation.
20 feet from the base flood.
Not 20, hopefully not 20 feet from the base. Oh, you mean the height? Yes, I apologize. The height, yes, correct. That is correct. Yes.
Okay,
So that's basically in a nutshell. Then I'll show
Thank
it to you if you want.
there's your 2-minute recap.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so
Appreciate that.
I hope that answers your questions.
Nick, can I I'm gonna ask you, when you get Fox to update the survey,
Mhm.
I would like your site plan to reference
Sure.
the
His-
Fox survey, because
with the
right now,
building.
your site, we have no problem with an architect
I got you.
presenting a site plan, but it's gotta be based on a
Survey from.
consistent survey. You're
Okay.
referencing a
An
two
old-
thousand four
old
Rayner
survey, yeah.
Mark
Right,
survey.
yeah, I know.
We gotta make sure all the base
Understood.
information is
Yeah, I
correct.
didn't update my survey when I got David's survey, but I will do that, sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right?
Yeah, absolutely. Good point, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other comments from the board or audience.
Joe's thinking. He's thinking.
Joe? Okay, so I'll just make a motion. I'm gonna make a motion, that could we go ahead and hold this over for all purposes? Second by Joe?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
All right.
Why don't they have the surveys with you? If they don't have the surveys with them. All righty. Number 7, 110 Dune Road. Applicant seeks variances from 197-29-1A for a proposed second-story addition, second easterly, which represents prohibited increase in the degree of nonconformity of a dwelling with substandard front and side yard setbacks. Proposed front yard setback of 41.5 feet where a minimum of 50 feet is required. And existing proposed side yard setback of 15 feet where a minimum of 20 is required. Also from 197-29-1A for a proposed second-story closet addition on the westerly side, which represents a prohibited increase in degree of nonconformity of a dwelling with substandard front yard setback, proposed front yard setback of 26.5 feet where a minimum of 50 feet is required, and from 197-35C for a proposed accessory balcony with a setback of 50 feet where the minimum required is 20 feet. There you go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Charles Lembo, architect representing the owner,
Mm-hmm.
410 West Montauk Highway, Lindenhurst, New York. So this project is a series of additions to an existing house. We are looking to do so the house is U-shaped, and we're looking to fill in the U in the rear with a 2-story addition for a dining room on the first floor and a family room on the second floor. We're looking to eliminate 2 closets from the master bedroom and add a small closet on the second floor to replace them. That would be on the west side. And on the east side, we're looking to eliminate the double height living room that exists already and replace it with a second floor addition for the addition of 2 bedrooms. We're looking to, so it's important to note that we're building everything over the existing footprint of the house. The second floor is currently smaller than the first floor, and so we're just kind of infilling areas. The house is non-conforming for front and side yard on the east and aggregate, but we're not making any of those non-conformities worse with this proposed addition. The existing front yard now is at 26 feet, and we're maintaining that front yard setback, the front line of the house. The east side, the setback requirement is 20 feet. We're maintaining the existing 15-foot setback. The aggregate, we're maintaining the 39.6 where 50 is required. The property, the zoning for R3 requires a 20,000 square foot lot. The existing lot is non-conforming for R3 at 18,339. The buildable area upland of the wetlands is about 12,000 square feet. So it's also important to note that we're not setting any precedents here or doing anything, again, to make the nonconformities any worse. There are 5 houses within the 200-foot radius that are all less than the required side yards, similar to my client's house. And both other houses within 200 feet on the north side of Dune Road are both deficient for front yard with 106 Dune Road being somewhere around 38 feet from the front yard, and 114 Dune Road being about 26, which is even pretty much with my client's house. I would like to address some comments from the neighbor at 106. Megan had sent me an email yesterday forwarding me their concerns, and I would just like to review them with the board. They had 5 concerns. The first one, they wanted to know if any views would be impacted. My client's house is directly to the west of their house. We're not we're not adding anything that would increase the height or push the house further back into the yard on the north side. Basically, that's the area that already has a double height living room. So the roof in that area to accommodate the new bedrooms would be lifted about 4 feet to be in line with the existing second floor of the house. It's currently a flat roof and it would maintain that design. They were concerned about post-construction, if there would be any noise concerns. My clients, they're a couple with 2 small children, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. This house would be their permanent summer residence. They own a building and a business on Main Street in West Hampton Beach. So they are invested in the community. They've owned the business prior to purchasing this house. Point is, they're not renting it out. They're not planning on having any big parties. Honestly, it's in their best interest to have the people in 106 not make noise because they have a 3 and a 5-year-old. They asked a question about whether landscaping or water drainage would be impacted. Again, everything we're building is already over impervious areas, but we are providing a large drainage field to the west side to improve drainage from the flat roofed areas. And again, all that gets directed to the west side, which is the opposite side of the house from 106 Dune Road. So there will be no issues regarding drainage. The driveway of my client's house on the east side is gravel, so it's a permeable material. They had a concern about whether anything that would be constructed would impact the flow of air, I guess, during high winds. I'm not an aerodynamicist, but again, we're building over the existing footprint and I'm only elevating the roof that's existing now by about 4 feet on their side of the house. I don't see how that would impact them in any way. They also questioned whether there'd be any issue with views. Again, we're directly west of that house and we're not doing anything higher than what's already existing. So I don't see how no views to the north or the south from 106 Dune Road would be impacted in any way. And then they just had a quick question about the aesthetics of the house. We're not looking to change any of the aesthetics. It's a flat roof, quote unquote, modern design. And we're maintaining that design. We are planning on re-siding it with a new oak finish, oak siding, and some stucco areas. But the overall aesthetic of the house as it exists now will not change. And unless the board has any questions for me, I think that's pretty much all I have to say at this point.
My question to you is, with the second story addition, and you're looking to go straight up, why can't you push it back 5 feet so you don't need the side yard setback there?
Well, the existing first floor on the east side is the kitchen and the double height living room, and that wall is at 15 feet now. Up above, there's 1 bedroom that's at the front of the house over the kitchen, and then behind that is the double height living room. So if I were to pull that back 5 feet,
Right.
then the living room would have this like bizarre double height shortened ceiling situation, and I wouldn't be able to use the 5 feet for bedrooms between the setback line and the existing line of the house. It might be easy to show you on a survey.
Yeah.
Approach?
Yes, please.
Right now, this is the existing 2-story part with a kitchen and 1 bedroom and a small, it's a bedroom, but it's really a
Right.
glorified closet. And this is the area of the double height space. The roof is about 5 feet lower. So if I maintain the 20-foot setback, I would have to cut this to here.
Right.
I would lose a bedroom, or just make, because the bedrooms are long and narrow. At this point, it would become unusable if I lost 5 feet. And then I have to deal with suspending the ceiling, and then the inside of the house is gonna do something like this, where this is, you know, 10 foot or whatever, and this is going up to 16 feet for 5 feet. I just aesthetically kind of weird. And then I have to figure out how to support all that. I just think it's more functional, for them to occupy and get the 2 full-size bedrooms they need to go up to the existing setback line, which again, we're maintaining. That line is pretty much already there. We're only extending the height of this by about 4 feet, because the ceiling in this room now is about 16 feet high.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Joe, did you see that?
Yeah, I kind of got the idea.
That's it.
Yeah,
So this is the kitchen with 2 foot bedrooms above.
right,
This is a double height living room.
right.
So if I maintain 20 feet in the setback, I have to lose this bedroom, because I can't, the bedroom now is a thin, there's a family room and then 2 bedrooms. If I lose 5 feet, it becomes like a bowling alley. It's just not gonna function. So I would end up losing a bedroom, and then I would have the third of the living room with a double height space, unless I cut that all out and then frame a new low roof. So this portion of the wall here now is only about 4 feet lower than this, because the ceiling in this living room is about 15 to 16 feet.
Right.
So we're only looking to extend this another 4 feet and maintain this wall that's already.
Right, well, the problem is, the property is overbuilt as it is. Even though it's pre-existing, right, it's overbuilt. And when you mentioned the 4 or 5 properties, nearby, that don't meet the current setbacks and coverage and, what have you. I understand that, but, you didn't say that they came in for variances on top of that.
Oh, I don't know.
Right, you don't know that. So, I mean, that argument really doesn't,
Well, the point I was trying to make is, I know that, been before a lot of boards, and I know a main concern is that the zoning boards never want to set a precedent that can be used for future applicants to say, well, look what that guy did. My point is, some of the houses across the street on the south side are a lot closer to the setbacks than my client's existing 15 feet. So whether those were granted with variances or not, my point is, if they all met and were in conformance, and even if my house was non-conforming and didn't meet, you'd be granting me something that could be considered a precedent. In this case, I don't believe it's a precedent, because I think all the houses on the south side have at least one side yard that is smaller than mine. Whether they were granted via variance or not, my point is, I'm not making a condition that's any worse that's already there, and I'm not increasing the level of nonconformity to my client's house.
well, it's still, the fact is still, that, if you're looking to, increase the nonconformity. That's really what's going on. You're looking to increase the nonconformity of this piece of property. And you have the opportunity to conform. But based on, what you're telling us, now that it's going to make rooms narrower, it's gonna be more difficult to, to build it. I get that, but my suggestion would be, instead of just drawing it on a piece of paper, show us something, really that you can't do this. Otherwise, to your point, it is setting, us up for the next application that comes in, with the same argument.
Okay, I mean, I don't necessarily agree that I'm increasing the nonconformity, because the building height is already where it's at. I'm not increasing that. And the setback location of the wall is already where it's at. I'm just filling in a piece that's already double height. I am increasing it by 4 feet, but I'm not in violation of the height requirement. I'm in violation of the setback, and that wall is already there, and it already is double height.
Well,
So if it was a one-story addition and I was adding 14 feet to it, I could understand that. But the wall from it's an elevated house, obviously it's in a floodplain. From the first floor to the roof in the living room is somewhere around 16 feet. And we're looking to make it, 19 or 20 by just making the roof high enough to insert a second floor where there already is a second floor on the front side of the house.
no, I understand that, but we're looking at habitable space, you talk about a wall. I get the wall idea. It's a good argument. but, you want to increase the habitable space. And it is in fact, increasing the nonconformity. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
No, I understand that I'm increasing it to a certain level, but I mean, there are different degrees where you can increase a nonconformity. I'm not looking to take this wall and build it 70 feet out towards the rear yard. I'm not going outside any part of the building's perimeter or height that's not already there. I'm just looking to take 2 bedrooms worth times 4 feet high of volume and sticking it on top of the house in line with the existing second floor. So yes, of course, I'm obviously increasing a nonconformity or we wouldn't be having this discussion. But again, I'm not looking to add a big monster 2-story addition in an area where nothing exists now. Then I would 150% agree with your argument.
No, I get that. My suggestion would be, to show us something, a plan B.
I mean, okay. Plan B would be to eliminate the bedroom that they need. So, okay, I can put something together to show you why it won't work that way because they need the number of bedrooms that I'm proposing. But yeah, I can put something together and submit it to the board. Sure. Okay, great.
Hold on a second. Your question is for the architect. You just give us a minute. Brad, can you clarify that about the height of the walls and
You're asking about his testimony about the 2-story space becoming two floors instead of 1 floor?
it's already there? He's just gonna go up another 4 feet, basically, is what he's saying?
I have an elevation drawing with me. If that helps, I can show you the area that I'm talking about in filling if that's necessary, if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, so we're normally looking at 1-story and 2-story. I think he's saying that 1-story space behind the 2-story space is actually double height space.
Double
It's-
height
it's
space.
Taller. But he's saying that he's not adding 9 or 10 feet for a story. He's adding 4 feet for the story because he can fit that level within this double height space. That's not, it doesn't, it's still the same variance, obviously, but it points to the volume that's being added as opposed to the floor space is what the variance is required that within that 20 feet, but he's suggesting that the volume is not the same.
So this is the view from 106 to the next door neighbor. So right now the house comes up, there's bedrooms here. This drops down to this line, which is the ceiling of the double height living room.
Would you mind just stating for the record what you're pointing to? Because the record won't
Okay,
reflect, you're
I'm-
saying this, but the record won't reflect it,
I'm
so,
drawing on the right side building elevation, which faces east towards 106 Dune Road.
thank you.
So, so this is living room, and then this is the actual end of the house. This is a wall that blocks the deck that's existing. So the second floor is here. This is the kitchen, this is a bedroom, this is a double height living room. We're proposing to insert a floor here and then extend this up approximately 4 feet to fill in that volume. We're not extending beyond the back wall, we're not extending beyond the slab. And if you look at the bedroom plan, in this area, which is that view I described earlier, this is the second floor plan that I'm referring to now.
Thank you.
So right now, this is void, this is exterior space over a roof. We're looking to fill that in. This is the second floor. This is that wall I was just drawing. This is 106 Dune Road over here. So in order to maintain the 3 rooms up here, if I were to pull this 5 foot back, that leaves me 7 foot for this bedroom. Yeah, I suppose I could split the difference, but then these rooms get really long and narrow and don't really function as well. So
This is the kind of filling in.
this is an area, this is like a new sitting area, playroom for the 2 children who are gonna occupy these 2 bedrooms, like a playroom. So that the downstairs can be, a more formal living dining room area and all the kids' toys and whatnot can live in that area.
Did you see that too?
Yeah, I kind of get that.
You wanna, show you close up?
Sure.
So this is the area that we're talking about. This is the double height living room.
Okay.
This is the kitchen, and this is the area of the bedroom. So we're looking to extend the second floor across, and then this gets filled in. So this wall is existing, this face is existing, this height is existing. You just kind of pop a hat on it,
Okay.
basically. And this is the floor plan. So right now, this is the master bedroom, that wall's fixed. This is over a void because the house kind of U-shaped. This becomes a new study playroom for the kids' toys.
In
or
the
whatever,
center, right, okay.
In the center.
Right,
And then these are the two bedrooms. So if I pull this back 5 feet, this bedroom becomes pretty much used.
okay, okay,
And to slide this over, then the bedrooms become like 8 foot wide. You know,
Right.
by whatever length, a significant length, like 20-something feet.
Yeah.
So,
so this is the key right here.
Yeah.
Is,
so this is the total area of encroachment that,
so this is existing right here?
yes, sir.
Okay,
All of this is existing. This is actually a wall. This is the outdoor deck. This was there already. It's just like a privacy wall, I suppose, when it was built. So this is the area of the actual house, and this is the area we're looking to fill in.
and so at the end of the day, this is what, what you're gonna wind up with?
Actually, right now, the house does this. This is the existing wall of the living room that's 16 feet high. So
Right.
when I insert a floor here and we pop this up, this is about 4 feet.
Right, so this is all gonna be finished here?
Correct.
Okay, all right, I get it, I'm glad you did that,
Okay, great.
all right. I feel better about that, yeah,
Yeah,
Feel
he did a
better
nice
about
job
that.
explaining it.
yeah.
Okay, this gentleman had a question. Now, if you need to address the board, you can come on up here.
Good.
Yeah,
Who are
I'm
you?
a homeowner, and I have a store in the village.
Well, come on up and make yourself at home.
I'm not an architect.
You don't have to be an architect, give you a week.
Shoot yourself in the foot.
Come right over here. You can take the microphone. No, relax.
So my name is Jeff Silverstein,
Okay, Joe.
and we own 110 Dune. And I was just gonna say it's it's kind of childlike the way I would describe it, but it's a U, and we just want to enclose that area. Like, so it definitely, the neighbor would not at all be affected, with a view or anything.
Okay,
We're just actually enclosing, like, the deck floor pretty much is gonna become the house.
yeah.
Well, Jeff, we get that part, but the center part, but what we were questioning was the easternmost part, which wasn't that clear in the original presentation, but after Charles, showed us, it's a lot
Yeah,
clearer.
it's just going from wall to wall, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a nice job.
That's all. Thank you for taking care of our village. That's all.
I don't know.
Supposed to ask him.
You could ask him. I don't think, how about our audience questions?
106.
Oh, absolutely. You're the letter writer that we just addressed. Come right up there and to the microphone and have.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice to meet you. Chuck.
Mhm.
Mr. Chairman and board members, I apologize for what I don't know because I'm a finance guy. This is not my everyday.
Uh-huh.
But I'm representing Lyle Casriel on behalf of Olivia Casriel, the estate of Olivia Casriel. My mother passed away August 29th. I received these documents 6 days ago. I live in New York City.
Mhm.
I trekked out for this meeting today with 2 requests and simply 2 requests. One is for more time, an extension, and the second is for more information from our perspective as the owner, my brother and I will become the owners of the home,
Mhm.
to understand what the impact of value is. And there's a real issue for me. The house was appraised 2 weeks ago for estate tax purposes. I'm all for everyone improving value as long as it's not at the expense of our property. And I just don't have enough information to opine. So I would like more time, and if it's possible or permissible, either by direct request to the homeowner or on behalf of the board, for elevations and other drawings. With respect to the concept of raising the roof, I just want to point out the master bedroom does face 110. So I don't know what impact that would have to the view. Our deck also has views out. I don't know if there's any build out that impacts that view. There's also on the topographical drawing I have an extension of the deck that gets very close to what was a common driveway. The houses were built together by Barry Beal. My mom bought it from Barry Beal in 1987. She's been a part of the community for almost 40 years. The house also had living quarters built below. I don't know if it was to code many years ago by a former homeowner. So in my mind, there's enough space in the house. There should be enough space. But I don't really care what happens so long as it doesn't impact our view our risk, our property anyway. And I just don't have enough information to tell that, what I've received.
So I'm a little confused as to what other information you would need that wasn't addressed here with us tonight.
Elevations would be helpful. Sure.
The elevations, you-
It's locked up now, but
Yeah.
I assume you can leave with them.
If you want to email them, that'd be great. But if I can just see what we're going to see, I think that would be helpful.
How much time are you requesting?
If I could get a month, it would be helpful. Assuming the board meets monthly, I don't know.
well, we do meet monthly, but, how about if we do a 10-day written submission?
Okay, if it can be
Maybe-
from the day I receive the drawings,
Well, we do a 10-day from today,
okay.
not 10 days.
To give them to you now, so.
No, he's gonna give it to you now. He'll give them to you now, and this will give you time to do it, any written submissions before a decision. I would like to close the hearing tonight. And then any written submissions or any input that you have, we could do that then, give you a chance to do that, because I think, I feel pretty confident that all your issues were addressed here tonight, but we do want to make sure that you're clear on, I understand totally your
I
concern.
went to college in Missouri, which is the show me state, so this will be helpful.
Very good.
Thank you.
You think that would work for you? I
Uh,
think that sounds
Sure,
pretty
that-
fair.
I should be able to.
Okay,
Thank you for your consideration.
great, and thank you for your input. Okay,
Comment that, Lyle had?
please.
I don't know what happened in the past, but I've been under that house. I can tell you, there is nothing developed below the first floor. It is just raw dirt piles, underside of the structure. I have photographs. There is no development under the first floor at all, and I don't see how there ever would have been, because there's no remnants of any type of development below. There is a garage kind of area that's enclosed with a piece of plywood, but it's totally raw on all sides, and there's no way it could be inhabited. There's piles everywhere, and frost braces and all kinds of stuff. And I would request that if we could not hold the decision for more than a month and allow a 10-day period, because my clients would like to, if they're approved, be in this house for next summer. And, we're gonna lose the winter, obviously, for construction, but we want to be able to start as soon as possible in the spring if the board sees fit to.
We are sensitive,
Understood.
okay? I mean, so we want to be fair to all parties, but, we are very aware of that and sensitive to.
A 10-day written comment period would not slow you down.
Understood. No, I appreciate that.
Okay. All right, so unless we have any other questions or comments on this application, we're good to go. So I'd like to make a motion that we close the hearing. We'll have a 10-day period for any written submissions, and then we'll have a decision. So, second by Joe, all in favor? Aye. All right,
Thank you for your time.
okay. Good night. All right, we got a nice big crowd here. I'm sorry, folks, but that's all the time we have for tonight. The Yankee game is on. I have to go. No? Okay. 10-day. All right. Nicholas Gufer, I said that right, 35, huh? Joffro? Jeffrey? All right, my apologies, 35 Woodland Avenue. The applicant seeks variances from 197-35A to legalize a construction in the side yard where prohibited, and also from 197-35A for proposed hot tub located in the side yard where prohibited, from 197-35C for proposed hot tub with a setback of 4.8 feet, where the minimum required is 20 feet. And from 197-35E1 to legalize a patio constructed at grade with a setback of 2.2 feet, where a minimum required is 10 feet. Before we begin,
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself from this application, please.
yes, okay, Joe, thank you. So, Nicholas, I see there's just three of us here. I assume you're still okay to go forward with that?
Let's do it.
Okay, good. I like your attitude.
Do I go or? Nicholas Buford, 35 Woodland Avenue, West Hampton Beach. Looking to, I'm seeking approval to remove the existing 12 by 12 side brick patio at.
Hey, Nicholas, could you talk into the microphone for us?
Yes. Remove existing 12 by 12 brick patio at grade and replace with a approximately 14 by 30 patio at grade and add a 8 by 9 foot hot tub on the patio.
So when we were there, we visited the site, right? The patio you built.
Correct. Yes, I was unaware of the requirements to get a permit to build the at-grade patio. I apologize for that. So I'm seeking approval to legalize the existing 12, I'm sorry, 14 by 30 patio.
So you've got a pretty unique property there. So could you just explain to the board, for the record, about how you have the front yard, the setback?
So if you look at, there's a set of photos there.
Mhm.
There's a bunch. There's the second page, I think is the best one that gives you a good aerial footage there to show. So that you could see the red circular table there.
Mhm.
That's where I'm seeking to place the spa or the patio. I'm sorry, the hot tub. You could see the cement that's already there that I'm looking to legalize. That's where I'm looking to put the patio.
Mhm.
You could see
Patio's at grade though.
at
correct?
grade.
It is at grade.
Correct. At grade. To the left, to the west, I believe, you could see another structure there that has an apartment in there. And then you could see their deck and their, I'm going to call it their side yard, their backyard, with the grill that's a little bit off the patio there for fire safety. And then south of that, you could see the neighbor's house. Now that house is set back rather far on their lot, containing their backyard to a very small area there. So my thought was to place this patio on the side where it's kind of in their driveway, which you could see in the photo there as well, to give them some privacy, and that by putting it on my side yard, it provides me to have some privacy and my tenants to have some privacy. And then if you flip to the third page, you could see the tent structure there for the synagogue, which would also allow them to have their privacy as well.
Mhm.
And just further noting, I tried to, I planted new shrubs there to give a full blockage.
I
from
did
the
see
street
those
view.
shrubs with you. It's amazing how it screens so amazingly well.
I was trying to
I wanna
minimize
bring my
anyone's
landscaper over to
disturbance.
your house. That was terrific. Um, we look at this deck, you have the hot tub positioned a certain way. Can you rotate that? And you would get a little bit, the hot tub would actually be a couple feet further away from the side yard.
The hot tub, I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Just turn it 90 degrees.
Could the hot tub be turned?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a portable spot. I mean, right?
The hot tub itself, yeah, it's a squarish, I mean, it's an 8 by 9, right? So
Oh, it's 8 by 9.
It's 8 by 9, but you put the length wise. Look, what the board has to give, if it's gonna give a variance, it has to be the minimum necessary. So
I got you. So to
looking
keep
at
it-
your,
rather than get it farther away from the side.
yeah, if you rotated it and put it in the corner of the patio,
Right,
you'd pick up 2, 3, maybe 4 feet, depending on how
Okay.
much room is there.
right, yeah.
And it's still within the patio, still within the privacy area. But it would be easier to say that's the minimum necessary than if you
Understood.
have it where you have it.
Yes, I can see that as a good option.
Yeah, that seems like
I don't know if you're asking for me to, I agree to this. Approved.
lost control somehow. That's great. All righty, so what do we have the hot tub setback and legalize the patio, that's a great. You know, we look at that property, basically, your backyard is the apartment's front yard. So this would give
Right.
you, this is kind of your living area almost, right?
It's kind of
If you don't have a door even coming out the back there. you do.
there's no rear entrance exit from the,
Yeah.
the back of the house there, right?
Right.
This
Is there
would be
gonna
my
be?
quiet enjoyment. What's that?
Is there gonna be?
No, there's not. There's Bilco access to the basement. There's an AC unit. It's not.
Okay.
It wouldn't allow it.
Right. Jimmy,
What is the parking easement? Brook Road.
parking easement, I don't know. That's interesting.
That's the interesting
On your
question.
survey,
is-
there's a parking easement that goes off the Brook Road right from. the
Right.
apartment. What is
That is, so that property used to be owned by the same people that owned the property I purchased. And to allow access to the apartment structure that's in that area, they granted an easement. That's not currently it's not currently being utilized. There's trees. But that's there if needed for parking for that apartment.
Right.
I don't have anything else for you, Nick. Any comments on this application?
Okay.
All right. I'd like to make the motion that we close this hearing for a decision.
Do you want to ask,
Oh, excuse me, hold on.
want to ask for the plans to be updated? You can ask for that to be submitted, like have it put on the, it's like, there's no way to calculate. I mean, rough math,
Mhm.
it looks like you'd get to about 8 point something feet setback by rotating it and putting it in the corner of the patio.
Mhm.
So,
Do you mind if I just approach so you could
yeah, sure.
point to me where?
Sure.
Where do the patios?
Well, a lot of this becomes about,
This is on top.
this is from Moses family.
You're right.
So they sit on the deck and you can.
It'll still give you that same privacy. So question is if you can leave it open just for a 10-day period to give them a chance to, or even 2 weeks to give them a chance to have Dave Fox just update. It's a small fix for him to do, so. See if they can get.
If
that
you
in.
have faith, I have faith in them. Yeah.
So just to show how the hot tub setback,
To show the hot tub setback, but at the minimum,
you know, they are
Yes.
portable hot tubs.
I know. But it's shown on the survey in a particular spot with a particular setback.
Correct, I got it.
I'm not capable of calculating what that's gonna be.
You're selling yourself a little short, Tony.
I'm not licensed.
Okay, all righty.
Capable, but not licensed.
Okay, do you understand that point, point? Nick?
Yes. Rotate.
And
Push,
just-
push as close as you can to the house based off
Right.
of the patio.
Give us as much of a setback to the hot tub as you can get us, okay?
Good.
Terrific. Okay,
On it.
so we'll give you like a 2-week period to get that done,
Okay.
okay? But
Actually, you can even say it this way, if you get it in 10 days before the next meeting, that's enough time. So
Okay.
And we
about
can get
20
the, we'll
days
get
to
the
get it
decision for you for next month.
Sounds good.
Okay.
That's
All
our
right,
time.
I'll
10
get it
days.
to you.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, so I'll make a motion, we close the hearing with that stipulation.
Second.
Second by Jim, John,
Yeah.
we close, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
Who's back? All right. Samuel and Eleanor Williamson, 22 Sunset Lane, applicant seeks a variance from 197-6A2 for proposed habitable space office in a semi-detached building, which is deemed prohibited as not being normal and accessory to principal single-family dwelling. Semi-detached. I love that. Hi.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Steve Caputo, 120 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach, for the homeowners, the Williamsons. This is an application to create a home office in a space above a semi-detached garage. At one point, it was detached. They have now created a breezeway and an outdoor shower. They are not enclosing the breezeway. And so the issue then is that we'd like to approve it for habitable use as an office. There is no plumbing, there is no plan to put any plumbing, so that there can never be a question that this is going to be used as a bedroom or any other space for cooking or for sleeping. It's strictly going to be an office. And because of the location of the outdoor shower and because they'd like to keep the breezeway open, it's why we have not enclosed it to the garage so that we wouldn't be in front of the board. And that's the sole reason that we're here.
If they enclosed it, you wouldn't need any variance, right?
That would be detached garage, which they have
Detached
no
garage.
intention of doing. Right, they would be the attached garage to the house, and they have no intention of doing that. That's why they'd like to keep it open. They do like the concept of the breezeway.
Yeah, has a shower in there, right?
Shower is in the way of enclosing it.
So,
Is there a possibility, Steve, of
Very nice.
attaching it from the second floor?
Not, I don't believe so because of the roof line. I think that we would have to almost bring over that whole roof line through the house.
Yeah.
Because of the pitch of the house and the pitch of the garage.
Right,
We'd have to come across, then we're coming into a much bigger structure.
Yeah. The problem is, with this, I mean, even though it's a great idea, setting this up, for future, applications coming in, asking for the same thing is a problem.
The uniqueness of it, I think, is that the shower is located in a way that we couldn't enclose it if we wanted to without removing the shower. So someone would have to come in with a similar situation where they have a shower or some similar obstruction
Okay.
that would stop us from doing it. That, I think that's the uniqueness is I understand the board does not want to set a precedent that anybody can have this detached habitable space, but we've got an impediment, self-created, I agree. But we have this impediment that we can't work around without removing the shower. And of course, where the shower is located, we really can't close in that breach. That's the problem. So it doesn't become additional habitable space by doing it that way. Again, self-created, but it's very unique.
Right. You could move the shower.
It could move the shower. I don't think they would
you
like.
conform to all, you conform to all setbacks from this garage, correct?
Correct.
Looking at this, is all the setbacks in the middle of the garage.
There's no setback, we're not asking for any setback.
Right.
relief. We're just asking that we have habitable space that's not directly connected to the main house.
Yeah. There are just so many situations that could come up in the future, like this. That's the biggest
One
problem.
at a time.
Well, like I said, I understand your point. I just don't know that you'll run into another one where a shower is supposed to, and they really don't have, they could move the shower, but there's really not a great location for it to move it. And we would run into setback problems if we move it in one direction. And then if we move it in the other direction, now we're in front of windows. They kind of built the shower with the only place that they could build it. Then they wanted to have the home office. And just to address a concern about the home office, there is no plumbing up there. So that's never going to be used as a bedroom. I mean, it would be a rather unique situation if you had to get up in the middle of the night to use plumbing. You would have to come downstairs, go through the breezeway. We would hope go into the house. We would hope.
Now, how did this come about? How did this come about? As far as, when this was designed and, constructed, how did this,
My understanding of it was that they planned on the breezeway and the shower, not finishing above the garage.
okay,
Then we had COVID. They started working from home. They need home space. It's not a particularly huge house. It's only 4 bedrooms, so they didn't really have the ability to convert a room into a study. So this came about as a result of COVID. It would be great if we had an office at home. We've got this terrific space over the garage. The homeowners did not know at the time that that would be an issue. And then they've now subsequently learned that it's habitable, and your habitable place has to be connected. But it came about piecemeal. Otherwise, I think anybody, including the architect on this, would have advised them at the time, let's connect it and try to build it another way. But it happened that the breezeway and the shower were first, and then, like I said, COVID, and they wanted to create space without it, taking on the huge project of connecting it to the house. So that's my understanding of the history. That's it. Right.
You're saying that the cost and the aesthetics is really the issue, because you don't really want to relocate this shower, and it's gonna be costly to relocate.
It would be costly, and the location of it would be unique. If we move it in one direction, we'll be running into setbacks or front yard. If we move it in another, towards the back, we block windows on that room. So they have no other place to put it on that side of the house other than where it is. And it would never reared its head as an issue if it wasn't for now wanting to create a home office.
You guys have any other questions for Steve? Joe, did you get your questions answered?
Yes.
Okay. Questions about this application? You guys are so patient. Bobby, you have anything? I don't have anything further for you, Steve. I think we can just go ahead and close this hearing
Thank you.
for a decision.
Second.
I make the motion, and second by John. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have a decision on that one. So look at. So, I don't see it for the next. Hey. Got the big guns tonight. All right, number 10, the Quantum Beach Club, 49 Dune Road, applicant seeks variances from 74.582 for proposed kitchen and office building within the CEHA, where new buildings are prohibited, from 197.29 C5A for proposed reconstruction of membership beach club, which includes an increase in height, FEMA compliance, but where height increases are prohibited, also from 197.29 C5C for proposed reconstruction of cabana building with a setback to the crest of the dune of 72.5 feet, where reconstruction is required to conform with current setbacks of 75 feet, 97.29 C5C for proposed covered deck expansion with a setback to crest of the dune of 72.3 feet, where expansion is required to conform with current setbacks of 75 feet, and lastly, from 197.29 CE for proposed increase in dining, restaurant seating, where from 89 to 120, where increases for dining seating are prohibited.
I'll go over there, but I thought it would be useful for the board if you had the existing conditional survey and then sort of blown up the site plan of what we're proposing, because the overlay that you had on the survey, I think very difficult to read. So I just wanted you to have that sort of side by side.
Yeah, before you get started, I have a quick question for you. What are you gonna do with that point-operated telephone that's on the deck? That was priceless. Need a phone book for that, right? All right. That's just for me. I think, Megan, you need one. Okay. So Heather, when we do this, you're gonna go through each step for us?
Yep.
That would be.
Good evening, members of the board. Heather Wright for the applicant Contact Beach Club, office address at 48 Main Street, West Hampton Beach. So I think what I want to do is start off by giving you a little history and a little bit of background on what Quantuck Beach Club is. Talk a little bit about the existing facility and the condition of the facility, and then I'll get into sort of what we are proposing here. So Quantuck Beach Club is obviously located on Dune Road since 1927. It began as a dining pavilion and changing rooms. The club was destroyed in Hurricane 38, rebuilt. Then it was severely damaged in a nor'easter in the 60s. But since then, really hasn't had much of, I'd say, a refresh, as noted by the payphone. And, but it is a seasonal use club, so it is only open 12 weeks of the year. It consists of a decking space with tables and a snack bar. So that only serves lunch to the club members. And the deck, like I said, has tables for dining, but not just for dining. It's sort of a space that members use for mahjong, reading, bringing your laptop, anybody who maybe doesn't want to go onto the beach. But the existing facility is somewhat dated, doesn't meet a lot of the current code requirements. The kitchen is somewhat cramped. We have pictures if you want to see it. And it needs to be brought up to Suffolk County Health Department standards. It's serviced by cesspools. It's not FEMA compliant. And the showers drain into the sand. So this project is part of a reconstruction of the club that will address these issues. We'll have an upgraded electrical system, upgraded plumbing, new sanitary. We'll meet health department standards for the kitchen, and it really will be a better, more manageable workspace for the employees of the club. Certainly will be FEMA compliant, and we're going to increase and improve the parking at the club. And one of the modifications to the plan is that we are going to meet the 75-foot setback to the crest of the dune. Modify the plan and remove that variance request. Okay. So because this is in the R3 zoning district, the club use itself is pre-existing non-conforming, and therefore the reconstruction here requires relief from this board pursuant to 19729 of the code. And so specifically, we are seeking relief because we are increasing the height of the structures because of FEMA, but we are not looking for a height variance. We are proposing an increase in dining seating from 89 to 120, and I'll get into that. I'll take them one at a time, so I'll get into that separately. And then we're seeking relief from the coastal erosion line because of the location of the erosion line on this area of Dune Road. So let's talk about the height first. Whether this was a single-family dwelling or a reconstruction of the club, the height of the buildings on the property, the structures are going to increase to comply with FEMA. And certainly that is a benefit for the neighborhood. And, we are, like I said, we're not actually exceeding the required, we're not asking for a height variance. We're simply asking for relief from the increase in height that's required when you are reconstructing a non-conforming structure. Really, everything that we are proposing is for the betterment of the club itself and for the neighborhood. We're pulling the existing structure out of the crest of the dune. So right now, the existing cabanas, locker rooms, and deck encroach into the crest of the dune. And now, basically, what we're doing is we're rotating the club so that instead of running north-south, it's running east-west. So that's why I wanted you to see the side-by-side comparisons so that you can see that we're really not increasing the size or the non-conformities. And I gave you that side chart, so proposed and existing, so that you can see the square footage comparisons. We're essentially just taking everything and rotating it this way. So in terms of the height, we don't have a feasible alternative to other than increasing the height because we have to comply with FEMA, and it certainly won't have a negative environmental impact because obviously we want properties on Dune Road to be FEMA compliant. And as they get reconstructed, as single-family dwellings get reconstructed, they all have to comply with FEMA requirements. So I want to turn to the number of seats. This is not a restaurant. So while the code requires a variance when you're increasing dining seats, these are not really dining seats. This is a snack bar where you either go up to the window and you order your food. You take a number, they put it on the table, and you either go get it or they bring it to you. It's no table service. It's nobody from the outside the club that's coming to dine there. So it's not really a restaurant, but we wanted the increase in seats to reflect how the club is used. We haven't had a site plan on this property. I don't think ever actually. And so we figured this is an opportunity to make it reflect how it's actually being used and what's actually there. So, it's not going to be a problem from the health department because it's not going to impact the septic, and we have our engineer here from PETA Grosser, who can speak to that, how it's not going to impact the septic and that we have the water flow for the additional seating. But I just want to make it very clear to the board that it's not an intensification of the use. It's the same number of members. They're not looking to increase membership. It's solely so that we can have more tables and, kind of use the deck space kind of the way we're using it now, but just have a little more room to do that. And like I said, we are also increasing our parking compliance. Right now, we only have, I believe it's 77 spaces, and we are proposing 142 spaces. So a lot of the design here was driven by the location and the need for the new septic system. Obviously, the septic system has to be positioned in the front on the Dune Road sides. That didn't really give us a lot of room to move any further towards Dune Road with the structures, and we are moving the whole project outside of the crest of the dune. And then, as far as the crest of the dune variance, I mean, I think that is an ask that many people on Dune Road have to come to you and ask because of the location of the crest of the dune. And so, obviously everything we're doing here is designed to mitigate any impact that, the club would have on the environment. And, everything we're doing here is bringing it up to current code requirements, and just improving the facility and improving the look on Dune Road. And the thing here is we're going to be going to the planning board for site plan. So there'll be an opportunity to discuss screening and sort of how the whole site looks. So it'll be a real benefit for the neighborhood once that site plan is.
How would this impact the neighbors?
I don't think it will impact the neighbors because on the westerly side, we're actually pulling the cabanas away from the side yard setback that currently exists. I believe right now it's 37 feet and we're pulling it to 42 feet. On the easterly side, we are moving repositioning the club east-west. So everything will be getting closer to the easterly neighbor. But it will, the first roofed structure, which is like a roof deck, is 60 feet from that property line. And there'll be screening, and we're not asking for any dimensional variances. We're not asking for side yard, total side yard, lot coverage, crest of the dune, or front yards. So I don't think it will have a negative impact on neighbors. In fact, I think it'll be a benefit to the neighborhood because it'll be a sort of clean up modern facility.
Heather, how many members of the club?
There are 317 what they call billing units. So that's like families. So I guess I would say approximately 500 people. Is that about right? 500 people.
Now, on the east, well, the question, is this before planning yet, or this is the first stop and you're going to planning?
We went to planning for a work session a month ago. Got some preliminary feedback. We didn't have engineered plans yet, obviously, but we wanted to get their feedback before coming to you and asking you for variances. So we got their general feedback that they seemed, comfortable without seeing engineered plans with the site plan, and suggested that we come here.
Now, did they see the site plan that we're looking at?
Yes, they did.
Okay. One of my main concerns is a neighbor to the east. I understand, it's being the R3 zone, which is residential. This is pre-existing, more of a commercial nature for sure. The generator, dumpsters, 1,000-pound propane, tank, they all butt up against that east side, within 20 feet of the neighbor's property line, and the neighbor, him or herself, is pretty close to their property line, in addition. What are the chances of moving that to 30 feet?
Well, those are site plan elements that I'm sure we'll discuss with the planning board, and
Okay.
certainly to the extent that we can make modifications that would benefit the neighbors. And we want to be a good neighbor and we want to work with our neighbor. You know, again, I just want to point out that we are meeting the setback on that side. I
Right.
recognize what you're saying.
Okay,
Um, Yeah, and you know, we definitely are looking at screening and fencing. And, you know, I think with proper screening, it really won't have too much of an impact on, it won't have any impact really on the neighbor. We have some, if you wanted to see, we have some sort of renderings to show what it would look like. But the bottom line is, you know, we want to be a good neighbor. So to the extent that the planning board has comments about the location of things, you know, we can look at that. But we are a little bit constrained with parking and the location of the septic system. And honestly, we need an area for deliveries in and out, right? So we have to look at all these factors when designing it.
Want to be on record, you know, with the planning board should look at our notes, that's a concern of at least one member here. Yeah.
That was a concern. So can you go back with us now and tell us exactly what variances you're looking for to change and eliminate a couple?
Well, we eliminated the variance that was the setback from the crest of the dune for both the cabana, which would be the locker rooms, and the covered deck the covered deck that's to the south.
So you've gone from 72.5 to 75 or more or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
All right.
So we didn't have to ask you to do that.
I know.
Yeah, very
do.
good. No. All righty.
And a little overage.
And I'm familiar with this type of beach club restaurant.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not like you sit down with a menu and the waitress takes your order. You're going up and ordering and then sitting back down. So,
You can't order online anymore?
DoorDash.
Or
I don't think we're there yet.
Right.
And the hours are limited. Again, it's lunchtime only. It's 3 o'clock. So it is a low, and as far as a commercial beach club goes, I would argue that it's a lower intensity. It's no one's coming there for dinner. No one's staying there overnight. And, you know, a lot of what we're doing too is, you know, we're adding, you know, an elevator for ADA compliance. We're adding ADA bathrooms and ADA compliant bathrooms and showers. I mean, there's just a lot of things here that that are really a benefit to the community and to our membership, and that we really should be doing. So that's sort of all part of the site plan.
Yeah. And what Joe was talking with you about with the dumpster and the generators and stuff, that's not, the setbacks comply to zoning,
Correct.
but they may not comply to neighbor.
I understand, and I
Okay.
believe the neighbor's here, and he'll.
We have a neighbor, oh, okay,
I'm both, you neighbors.
okay. We're gonna get a chance to talk in a minute, but I hope you're paying attention, Ryan. Okay. Okay, great. Oh, but you know, so I'm sure the planning board's gonna address that.
I would think
Also.
so. And like I said, we really do want to be a good neighbor. We understand that we are a non-conforming use in a residential zone. So, you know, we just, you know, we think that we put together a site plan that really sort of did not increase the non-conformities here and sort of looked at as much, you know, tried to keep everything within all of the setbacks, still adding the new septic, adding the parking. But certainly we haven't been through the whole site plan process yet, and I'm sure that these issues will be discussed there.
Okay.
One last thing I'm thinking, can you discuss the corporate nature or the cooperative nature of the beach club? Just so I get a sense of what it is as a institution, as we move forward, you know, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. In this case, you know, we've been there 100 years.
Right.
You know, what is it? What do you know? Tell me about the business part of it.
Well, I mean, all I can tell you is that it's private. Many of the members are families that have been members for probably since 1929. You know, I mean, it's a very family-oriented club. Membership only. So, and we have about 500 people and 300 and you know, billing units, families. I'm not sure what else you.
What is the ownership? What's the
It's a corporation.
It's a corporation.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's owned by all the members? Is that the idea?
Charter members.
Yes, the charter members.
Okay.
a few questions, code questions. Okay. This falls under the non-conforming beach club, right? So the C5 that has some allowances for expansion, right? And trying to, like I said, have your table
Yeah.
here. What the code says is you're allowed 25%, but you're also allowed 100% of certain types of areas.
Right.
And there's a lot of things on here, but I don't see totals. What we need to have is a baseline. And I assume you're within those numbers, but we need to have a baseline so that the next time an application's made, a calculation can be made as to how much of the 25% allowance under one category are using up and how much of the 100% category are using up, so that we can track this. It's the same thing that's been done with the country club
Right.
over the
think
years.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, Brad, you looked at and made the, and maybe not, but made the determination that the cabanas and the kitchen, am I right? Or no?
Yeah, I don't think there's an argument with your numbers. I think what I'm saying is,
I want a baseline
we need
for the future.
So, and this is what we feel that the main area is, quote unquote, this is the expansion, show that that's under 25%. This is the total accessory area, quote unquote, and this is that percentage of expansion, so that we can demonstrate that it meets what the code allows.
Sure. I mean, I think what's missing then on that chart is just the percentages, but the numbers are.
It's
so-
more about it's broken down within the categories that are in the code, rather than the way you've broken it down is like
You were too specific then.
way too specific.
Okay,
Or-
so
or-
you want, I understand.
Or I'd rather you just break it down in terms of what the code allowances are. So, the easy one is that you get the 25% across the board, right? But you also get 100% for storage, utilities, or similar uses. So if you break it down that way, we can keep track of it so that, let's say you want to come back in the future, there's some kind of baseline calculation that's in the decisions. You follow? Because that's what was happening with the country club over the years. They would do this, they would do that, but there are decisions that track it so that that can be done in future applications, and it can be determined whether you're entitled to more or whether you max out on your 25%. Okay, so that's one question, and then the other one is really the legal argument as to when the code says it gives you all these allowances, but then says if there's a restaurant, there shall be no expansion of the restaurant above the number of seats approved by the Suffolk County Health Department. So it's the one thing that the code says you can't do. So what's the legal argument for
Well, that's.
doing that?
Because, well, that's the request for the variance. But I would argue that it's not a restaurant. So the Suffolk County Health Department, and you can confirm this, but the 120 is what the Suffolk County Health Department has approved us for. So I don't think there was ever, and in fact, I don't even know where that 89 number comes from, to be honest with you. I went through all of the files here. I think this was a situation where this club has been in existence for so long and really hasn't been before this board or any board for any sort of, like you said, tracking of the 25%.
So what's your existing permit for? What is the Suffolk County current? I don't know. Because that's what the code says. It says whatever the current code requirement is, or the current number of seats approved by the Suffolk County Department of Health Services. So what is that?
Well, the current permit says 80, but that's not, it also classifies it as a restaurant, which it's not, and it's extremely old. But we're asking for a variance from that provision of the code so that we can accurately reflect the number of seats that are actually.
The difficulty, Heather, is that 129, 29C, we've always treated them as use variances. If you're going above permitted allowances in here, and I've been through this a few times with different clubs over the years, that when it comes to a use type of thing, and I'm not talking about the height issue, which is a purely dimensional regulation, but when it comes to the use and the code specifically prohibits the use, we've always treated that as a use variance, which is very difficult to justify. So if there's another way to make the case for that, then maybe the argument is it's not a restaurant.
Well,
And-
it is not a
But,
restaurant.
that argument might need to be made to Brad to come up with an interpretation on that, as opposed to just asking for a variance, which may have to be treated as a use variance. Well,
Yeah, well, that's what, yeah, that was my point, and maybe it is something that I need to have an interpretation from the building inspector, but it's not, it is, like I said earlier, it's a multiple use, institution or a structure. It's not just dining. It like, it's kids crafts, book clubs, it's mahjong. So it's not restaurant seating. I don't know how else to, yeah.
Okay, but just keep in mind that that was put in when the country club was doing its work too, and they have a lot of things going on at the country club.
The country club's a true restaurant.
Okay,
It's
well,
different.
that's an argument you'd have to make to Brad, I think.
I mean, our village code, all food uses are under restaurant, so I don't know that. I don't really know how to parse that difference. I mean, I completely understand how we do have some beach clubs with full restaurants, and we have some beach clubs where it's this concessionaire type snack bar thing, and I do realize that there's a difference there. I just don't know that our village code realizes that there's a difference.
And the problem we have is, I mean, practically speaking, it doesn't make sense to say, under this covered deck, there's gonna be tables and chairs for people to, play mahjong, but they're not allowed to be here, right? Because the deck is being used for so many different things. It's not even, the covered deck that we're proposing that's a little bit larger is open on the sides. It's not, it's not a restaurant. So it's like, I think this is a little bit different. I know the code speaks to restaurant, but this is not a restaurant.
Let me ask you a question. Why wouldn't you just stick with the 80 or 89, seats?
I mean, I guess, I guess we could stick to the 80, 89 seats, but the point being is there are going to be more seats on the deck. Maybe we were trying to be too transparent here. And so what's to say then we can't have someone come as like with 81, 90 people and they're all eating, we have to say, well, you can't. Like, it just doesn't make sense because of the way the club is used.
I would keep the seats, down to 80, 89, and then, the extra seating is for reading and games and things like that.
Good evening, members of the board. Edmund Kirby with PW Grosser, 630 Johnson Ave, Suite C, Bohemia. Professional engineer licensed in New York State. I was hired by Quantuck Beach Club to help with the sanitary. And so with Suffolk County regulations, the snack bar does not have an impact on sanitary. We just have to prove or design a grease trap to handle the desired capacity. So previously it was approved for 80, and their food permit states 80 per capacity. So in this instance, if we show that it can handle 120 and get health department approval, would that then be the current approval for the town?
You're saying that.
I don't know the answer to that. That may be.
Go to 120?
Existing sanitary system.
Yeah.
It's of existing approval, not if it was to be redesigned and.
I'm gonna make the suggestion that take some time to think about that issue and have discussions with Brad about it and think about it, because that, of all the legal questions that this raises, that's the one that's difficult based on precedent that we have. And that precedent that might be set, because this is not the only membership club in the village, it's a lot of them. And the country club's been treated a certain way and has created some precedents, but we have other ones too. And so that has to be, that's the one that,
I get it. I understand, and we will give it some thought, but I just want to make sure it's clear on the record that those other clubs, they'll use to use their restaurants or snack, you know, it's a very different use than what we are proposing. So I think sort of
And
like.
maybe
it's a-
that's
it's
the
apples and
argument.
oranges.
That may be the argument to make, Heather, but I think probably some conversations with Brad need to be, because it's not presented that way. It's just presented, you're going from X seats to X seats. And under our precedent, that would trigger a use variance. So in order to work through that, something's gotta give here, and it might be an interpretation, it might be something else, but, that's the part that's hard to square with what we've done in the last 20 years in the village.
Brad?
Yeah, is the architect here by any chance? So on page 5 of the first, the kitchen covered deck, building, there's like a roof above a roof. Can you just explain what that is?
Amy Farber from Douglas Wright Architects. Farber, Farber.
Yeah.
There's a light monitor on top of that covered deck space, just to let in more light and air for.
Roof over the existing roof, the roof underneath has an opening, so it lets out light in there. So as we spoke to height, there's an issue with the height of this one particular element, because it goes above the 40 without having the supporting rafters be at 36, so that would need to be adjusted.
That was designed based on, we had an email exchange, and you said that the average roof had to be at least 40. It could go up to 44 if,
If the supporting rafters are at 36,
okay.
I think this, it might feel a little ticky-tack, but the way this is designed, I can't say that the supporting plate for those, even though I know what you're saying, the supporting plate is above the 36, so the average of that little rafter run is different.
Okay, I see.
Just the way it was designed. I'm sure there's a way to do it that would conform, but as soon as you go over the 40, I have to be strict about,
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
it's at 41.1, so it's not like, I'm sure it's not insurmountable.
Okay.
How about if we give
Sure.
some of the other people here a chance, they may have something they want to address afterwards? Anybody, you want to? Yeah.
My name is, I'm sorry, Chris Biondi. I own the house directly to the east. And I'm sorry?
The house number.
37 Dune Road. And I'm also here representing 36 Dune Road, which my sister owns. We've had the properties for approximately 50 years. And so we know Quantock very well. They're long time neighbors. Couple things that I have issue with, and you've picked up a lot of them. The first and foremost, I don't fully understand, and maybe I should talk to your attorney, the town attorney on this, is under the code 197-20-295C, there's no problem in rebuilding the club. Under my understanding is though you're supposed to try to keep it where it is. And so this pulling it out to the side is nice. It's good if you're the club, but it's not what the law says, or it's not what the thing. There is an exception if they don't meet setback requirements. Thing is, when I look at their plan, they're pulling the cabana up, for example, towards the dune. And it's going to be at the same exact line that their current buildings are. And they're asking for a variance on that. But in effect, I'm not sure how we get to where you're allowed to move this club the way they're moving it. And that's just the reading of 197-29-5C. And admittedly, they have two small porches that go over their line and get too close to the crest of the dune. But the law is very clear that it's not the decks that give you the ability to move your club. It's the main building. The main building is going exactly the same place. And now they're asking for a variance for something that they're claiming, oh, we don't meet the setbacks, so we can rip down the club, but the new club doesn't meet those setbacks either. And so I have that problem to begin with. And I can show you where I have the problem if we look at if you look currently where the bathhouse is, and then you look at where the edge of the current kitchen is, the cabana moves to exactly where the kitchen is. You're going exactly to the same distance to the crest of the so I have fundamentally a problem with the idea that you can rip down everything because you don't have a setback when you still don't have the setback. And the setbacks that you really didn't have were porches, where the law is pretty clear. The setback, the lack of a setback is for the main building. That gives you the ability to rip down a club and build it wherever you want. Otherwise, the law is pretty clear that you have to keep it where it is. You can rebuild your club and you can modernize your club. You can do all that. But you got to do it where it is. You can't go. Especially in this instance here, is this piece of property they're going on to was after acquired. They've been there 100 years, but they didn't own those two lots 100 years. So what they've done is taken a club, bought a piece of property. Now they're going to rip it down, non-conforming use in a residential neighborhood, and expand it out right up to the edge of my property. You've picked up some of the things I have problems with. That is the dumpsters. They're going to be I'm going to be able to throw my garbage off my porch into their dumpster. And the truth of the matter is, this is not like, we all have our neighbors bring their garbage cans to our property line, but this is 500 or 600 people's worth of garbage. And I hear the argument about, oh, this,
Sensitive to that, I think we
Say?
tried to address that.
yeah, and the
We did
propane
see
tank.
that and we understand.
And in fact, I have a garden that comes across that we had an argument because the garden was there for 40 something years, and it turns out that it was over the property line. And rather than declare eminent domain, we agreed that I'd have a lifetime for me and my kids and my grandkids, an easement for that garden that goes over the property line. And now we have dumpsters in my garden, basically, and propane tanks and a kitchen that comes right there. You know, they want us, and I keep hearing about, oh, the neighbors are going to love this. I'm here. I don't love it. It's not good for the neighborhood. My sister hates it. I hate it. It's not good neighborly.
Have you seen any of the renderings that they have?
I'm sorry?
Have you seen any of the renderings?
Yes, I've seen the
You've
whole
seen
thing.
those, so
I've
you're
seen
not
it.
just looking
I've
at
seen
the.
it, and I've walked the property.
Yeah, okay.
Again, I've been there 50 years. I know
I'm
this.
Just one.
Yeah, no. That's a very fair point. The other things I have kind of problems with is the restaurant. I keep hearing this isn't a restaurant. It's a restaurant. It's a restaurant. They serve people. They have special dinners some nights. They have beach dinners. They use the kitchen. It's a restaurant, and the Suffolk County considers it a restaurant. And they have an approval for 80 seats, and they want to go to 120. And they claim it's not because we want more members or more this. Oh, but by the way, we also need twice as much parking. My concern is in the future, this snack bar morphs into a little bit more, and all of a sudden I do have a restaurant that's been approved for 120 people, and I have twice as many cars, and I have parking now that goes all over the place. And that's fine if you're in a commercial district, but this is a residential district. These are houses. This is a neighbor that isn't 4 or 5, family members going over to the beach. These are hundreds of people going over to the beach. And that's different. It just is a different thing when you talk about the neighborhood. The neighborhood is me and my family, my sister and her family. That's the neighborhood. This is a commercial establishment with a restaurant, with a big paid membership, with big parking lots. And think about it. If you're living next door to that, all of a sudden everyone talking about it, oh, this is good for you. We're improving you. you're not improving my life or my property. Very detrimental to the value of my property, the enjoyment of my property, you know, and it's right on my property line, right on the property line. And then the last and final thing, and I have other points, but is the cutting. They're proposing a walkway over the dune, which you need. You need to get over the dune to the beach. I don't disagree with that at all. They currently have one, and it has done extreme damage to the dune. I mean, I'm not complaining about that, but I'll show you pictures if you want to see. This is what it looks like when you have hundreds of people walking over a dune. Okay, that's what you end up with. I'll show you on the other side of that walkway. That's what the dune looks like if you don't have hundreds of people. And what they're proposing is they're going to build another right next to it. And you're going to have the same degradation, and now you have two sets of degradations. And that's what protects my house. That's what keeps me. I will note that my house used to have another house on it, got washed away. My house across the street had another house, got washed away. They had a beach club, got washed away twice. This is not behind the jetties. This dune is important. And so at a minimum, I don't understand why we can't try to figure out a plan to use the current walkway. It's in good shape. It's already there. It's already made the damage to the dune. We're not going to fix that. But why are we now just abandoning big hole in the dune and making another hole in the dune? And that to me is having been there for 50 years and seen a lot of hurricanes, a lot of storms, that dune is important. And I don't care how many people want to, oh, it's more convenient for us to go 10 feet down and go over another walkway. Me and my sister,
Try and go by the.
me and my sister, for example, we share a walkway to the beach so that we don't make two cuts through the dune. And having been on the beach my whole life, that's important. You don't screw around with the dune. You don't
Well,
walk on it. You don't go through it.
You know, our history with this board has always been very, very clear about protecting and maintaining the setback to whenever is absolutely possible. So
Right.
we are very sensitive to that. And that's not even before this board tonight, just so you know.
No, I know that. I
And
know that.
we understand, it, you know, we want you, the
I
property is
understand. I don't
important to you, the
understand
dunes
how
are
it
important, the beach
hasn't-
is important. We have it. This is just, we're just getting started with this. And, you know, a lot of your concerns, I think, are going to be addressed by other boards too, I think. I would think the planning board is going to be very involved. And, you know, we expressed concern about some of the things you did already. We already brought that up. So, I mean, we're looking at all these different things.
No. And I'm very pleased that like you picked up the restaurants and, you know, Suffolk County is pretty clear about this. The law is pretty clear. And one of the first things one of you said was, what about the neighbors? What about the guy to the east? And I was sitting in the back thinking, yeah, what about us? What about me?
What about
Yeah, what about? You know, would I be rather home watching the Yankee game? Absolutely. But anyway, those are
Thanks for
those
being
are,
here because we value the input. Okay, we definitely do. And
and
the
also
history of
wanna
this board will show that we do very much consider that. Okay, it's one of our 5 factors, as a matter of fact. So, you know,
and I'd like to talk to Quantock.
uh-huh.
I was kind of blown away that after 50 years of a lot of back and forth with them, a lot of give and take, that they never even
This is in a
told me, hey,
preliminary.
we're thinking about this.
They're preliminary right now. So this, you know, got a ways to go before this happens. Yeah.
You understand there's two processes going on, one in the planning board, one here. Neither one is closing. So you need to be, if you want to keep,
I do.
you need to be part of the process by
Listen,
coming to the meetings.
I got this notice Thursday night last week. It's a long weekend.
Uh-huh.
My sister never got notice because they delivered 2 notices to me, one for both of us. She never got notice. So I had a week to put this together, and I've looked up the law, and I would ask you to look. There's a case that you guys argued in court, similar case to this, and you argued against giving the variances. Steinschneider versus Zoning Board of Appeals.
You're going back a ways there, Chris.
Yeah, I'm going back.
Going back a ways, Aaron, right?
Ways.
Okay, thank you.
And you guys came and said you can't do this, and now all of a sudden we're here asking, why can we do it?
People can come before this board and ask for anything they want.
Okay.
Okay? They have that right to ask for anything they want. So we try and work it out what's
Yeah.
within the code and what's the right thing for the village. So
And like the height,
thank you.
the height, I'm not so concerned about.
Gotcha.
That was my,
We'll see you again.
oh, I know you will.
I want to make a couple clarifications. So first, I think it's misunderstanding that we are not asking for a variance from the crest of the dune. So I just want to make that very clear because I don't think that that was understood. And with respect to 197.29.5C, we don't conform to the setback from the crest of the dune for the location of the kitchen and the deck that's attached to it. And that's one of the reasons for repositioning the structures the way we have so that we can pull them out of the crest of the dune. You know, we've kind of talked about this to death. We're going to look into the restaurant seating piece of it, so I'll leave that
Right.
for now. But I do want to though clarify that again, like this is not. I mean, the law is the law, but it's not a restaurant use, and it's not going to have all this crazy parking. We currently don't comply with parking right now. We have 77 spots. So we are increasing the number of spots so that we get closer to compliance with the code. We would love less spots. We don't really think we even need them, but we're following the code so that we are more in compliance than what we have now. So just, you know, and that might be something that we discuss with the planning board when we get to that spot. And then we do have, I don't know if the board wants to see them, but we do have some renderings looking at the proposed structures from the east side. So I'm happy to show the board or put them into the record. You know, like I said, the first covered structure will be 60 feet from the property line. Yes, Mr. Biondi does, Quantuck Beach Club did give Mr. Biondi an easement to allow his garden to remain in its current location, sort of a neighborly thing to do. And but his actual property line, it's 60 feet to that first covered deck. And then
How much of an easement did you give him?
it's quite large. I think it's like 14 feet by 14 by 14. It's on the surface.
Okay.
And we're, you know, to maintain his garden, which is perfectly fine.
How far is the building from his property line?
60 feet.
60 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's required?
20.
Okay.
And then if Aaron, you want to just speak to the dunes, I think there's some confusion about the number of walkways. So I'd like to clarify that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Aram Tertunian, First Coastal, West Hampton Beach, for the applicant, Quantuck Beach Club. Also, we're not conforming as to our front yard setback. The cabana basically sits on the road, so that's another aspect of nonconformity that we're addressing in this application. But to speak to the dune issue, we're extremely cognizant of the dune issue. And as I'm sure Chris, having been there 50 years, realized that after they put in the jetties, that beach built out and the dune system built out. So the old walkway that Quantuck built in the 60s basically became subsumed by the dune, and they just kind of kept, you know, cutting their way through it. We're not only going to take that out, we're going to restore that whole dune in that location. And the new walkway, which will be centered, will be up and over the existing dune in compliance with the village code. So we will, remove the old walkway that is located in the dune. You see the pictures are done, you know, that's what happens on these old walkways. And two, we'll restore that dune area. And number three, the new dune walkover will comply.
Thanks, Aaron.
The walkway hasn't been flagged for any relief, right? From this board?
Not the proposed walkway.
Right.
They are, I mean, the existing walkway does have a deck that's within the dune area. That would be going away, so now we don't have an observation deck, it's just the walkway. There's no relief in the walkway for this board.
And that, getting rid of that observation deck is also a big improvement to the dune that covers a large area. And it's quite prized by the members, I might add. So pretty big give back from their point of view.
And there's the 30.
60 feet from it. I don't have anything else for you, Aaron. Anybody else? Okay, so,
We do have to address secret too. On this. I think there was some discussion with probably the planning board. I should ask this board, do you have any objection to the planning board acting as lead agency on that?
no, I think that was.
But I would encourage you to let your thoughts be known to them as the secret process goes on, because you do have like the primary coastal erosion section is yours, and that is an environmental issue. So it should be whatever issues you have or satisfaction should be conveyed to the planning board at the appropriate time. Right?
There's gotta be another place to.
We have other people here. Anybody else want to address the board on this application tonight? Okay.
So, I assume you're gonna keep the hearing open?
Yes, you assume correctly. I think that's the right thing to do. You've gotten a lot of input from us. You've clarified a lot of things for us. You've done away with a couple of variance requests, which is always good.
Can't be closed anyway until
Yeah.
Peter's done. That's gotta happen first.
So there's no way we can close it if we wanted to tonight.
Great.
But I think that it'd be good to have an open dialogue with the neighbors also. I think that would be, I think that'd be very helpful for all parties. Okay? So we don't have any further comments or questions. I'd like to make a motion that we hold this hearing open for all purposes.
Second.
Second by John, and all in favor? Gentlemen, we're all in favor. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, everyone. We did okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn tonight's meeting. Second by Jim, and we're all in favor, we're out.